Your favorite toy truck nerds are back. Welcome to That Scale RC Show. Hey everybody, and welcome back to That Scale RC Show, episode 92. Could be episode 97, but we haven't recorded. Sorry. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Travis, along with Adam and Jay, and how's everyone doing tonight?
Spectacular. Awesome.
Can really tell.
So much enthusiasm. Well, like I don't believe either of those statements.
Well, when he said fantastic, I couldn't just say, I had to come up with another word that was, I don't know, positive, like, uplifting.
Uplifting.
Yeah.
Are you known for being uplifting?
I try to be uplifting.
Do you bring out the best in the people around you?
If you answer yes to any of these questions, I try.
Well, the effort's all that matters.
That's all you can do is try, man.
Everyone just does their best, which is not true. Everyone does not do their best. That is a lie. Don't ever let people tell you
lie.
that.
we don't even do our best. That's why our show sounds the way it does.
Yeah.
That's
you're
true.
Right. And that's very true.
Can we title this episode "Can You Hear Us Now" for Ryan?
Yeah, I will.
What? Yeah, just way to throw him under the bus.
If I was more mean-spirited,
Can you hear us now?
If I was more mean-spirited, I would just. So the funny thing about it, so for context, Ryan Crowley said we're too quiet, which I do mix up the volume.
To be clear, he said only when he's on his earbuds, not in the car.
Which I understand. So I always mix up the volume, though, by like quite a lot when I'm doing mixing. So on my board, my sliders for the audio for all these channels is all the way at the top now. And I really wasn't that far away from doing that to begin with. So we'll see how this one goes. But usually it sounds good to me when I do it. But
and I'm just going to say it right now. I'm sorry, Ryan. I told him this in confidence, and Jade decided to blast you on the show.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
Is this a bigger deal than I think it is?
No. No.
Like, I'm just like, why are we worried?
It's not a big deal at all. It's I just need to make it louder. No, so this is the funny thing, right? This is like I'm not remotely bothered, in case anyone's confused. But in the early days of track walk, oh my god. Dude, racers are a nightmare. And this was like the first like clear example I've got with this in track walk was that I think every episode for my first 10 episodes, anybody randomly would either, say something about the audio afterwards, despite it actually at the time when I go back and listen, it actually did sound pretty decent. But then there would be people who every single week would be like, oh man, the episode sounds terrible. You guys need to do a better job. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. My mistake. I'll keep working on it. Psych, I just won't record anymore. That's what I'll do. Yeah, that is better. Ridiculous. Oh, it's so much better. But all in all, it's just ridiculous where people get so butthurt about it. And I'm really anal about audio, which is hilarious for the people listening to this show because that's not exhibited in our recordings. But
you don't get Travis's best work. That's what he's saying right now.
I've been very forward that it's not my
you
best
get
work.
exactly what you deserve, and that's it.
I do my best with the time allotted kind of thing, but I don't put the extra effort in because I did that for 2 years with another show and I hated it. So
this is why I'm such a big fan of like celebrating mediocrity.
Well, at least we're honest, That's the thing. This is the big thing about this show, which should be clear to everybody who listens to it by now, is that we are very aware. We're very self-aware, in terms of where our shortcomings are, and also though, like what makes the show enjoyable. I'm not. Not anybody in this is trying to be RC celebrity, and RC celebrity it would be concerned about making this show sound awesome every week kind of thing. For example, this show, I'm going to try and edit it out, but right now as we're recording this, there's a ton of white noise. But it just is the way it is. If I was recording Track Walk, I'd be still trying to fix it like an hour after recording. So
I've got 2 exhaust fans on and 2 3D printers running right now.
Oh,
so
never mind. That's what it is.
probably a lot of it.
It's always Jay's fault.
Those support my
but
point.
We have
anyways.
Adam. That's going to be my big like upsell thing from now on. Like whenever somebody's like upset about something.
That's the but
yeah,
argument.
but we have Adam.
I like that.
But we have Adam. You guys
what
are
is
really
it?
quiet. Yeah, but we have Adam.
What the hell does that have to do with anything?
No one else has Adam.
It's deflection.
Nobody else cares.
They care. Oh, they care.
Anywho. Yeah, but no, I will try and make it louder. Hopefully it is loud enough. If it is not, please let me know.
But if not, we've got our bargaining chip.
That's
Adam.
true. Yeah, if not, we've got Adam. So
That's right.
I kind of feel like you should
I
be
mean,
more
really,
grateful.
where else are you going to go anyways for a Scale RC podcast? I mean, really.
You know what? Next thing you know, this is going to be a bumper sticker.
Which one? Which
Sticker pack
nonsense
version
did I
4 will
sprout?
have a but we've got Adam sticker.
Travis gets it.
Yeah. And I don't even make the product. I have nothing to do with that.
We can have a that Scalar C show specific sticker pack, and it'll be like, but we have Adam. Can you hear me now, Ryan Crowley?
We should actually.
It
we
is
should
time for a
have
new
one.
sheet.
We should have one like that. The
It
show
is time
has
for a new one.
the character of the show has changed substantially since whatever the last thing was that we did. Yeah, what is this? Yeah. Full dollhouse and just say no to sunglasses on hats.
Yeah.
Oh, you really
That
doubled
was-
down on
so
that one.
that
You did the
means-
crossed out circle and everything on the sunglasses on hats.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I already had the artwork from a different sticker sheet. So that means that was done right after we had Schultz on, within a couple weeks.
Oh,
So
God.
that's how old that sticker sheet is.
2.5 years ago.
Wow. Yeah, it's time for a new one.
Yeah. Times have
Crazy
changed.
they have.
Some phrases from the show and more.
A big American flag that says "I will not comply" underneath. People eat that up.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I will not comply.
Yeah.
Oh,
Guess? Question mark. That's a good one. Too.
that would. Or just one that just says maybe next week.
Yeah,
Maybe next week. I
I'm
was
work-
say because you never remember.
I'm working on it. There's a lot of different ones you could.
Actually, yeah, like all of these would be pretty great. Actually,
Don't think you can condense all of this to a single sticker sheet. You may have to condense it down to just one sunglasses on hat variation.
that's true. Oh man.
So I got a question about that.
Mm.
Am I
About
not allowed
what?
to put my sunglasses on my hat?
I don't know what the context is, and I'm feeling that this is one of those like J hyperlock situations. But I can't recall.
I wish I could say anything I wanted to.
You can say anything you want.
Like, I've got such a great explanation for it, but it's like, I just don't.
What an unnerving way to
it sucks having to live this way. Well, yeah.
Does it? I don't lose any sleep over it. I mince my words every day. It's the only way I can have peace.
I just wish we had like another like uncensored episode where I could just explain everything and like all the weird shit that people probably scratch their head about and like give them all the background information behind everything that I do and say and think, because some of it is kind of funny when you know the whole story.
Yeah, that's just the key, is that you know, are you willing to risk the whole story kind of thing?
Yeah, exactly. That's the tough part.
I know how that goes.
It'd be cool though. Like, there's so much that I want to share, like just customers and people we've met online and just all the, just because there's a lot of weirdness that happens.
Yeah.
Did you see the video of the dude lighting his Tekken ESC on fire?
No.
Someone got security cam footage of him lighting his ESC on fire while he's recording, talking about it suddenly bursting into flames. And the security cam footage has got him sitting with the car in his lap, holding his phone with a lighter sparking, trying to fucking light it on fire. Yeah, and so he posts all of it, and then somebody posted the actual like footage of him rigging this whole video.
First of all, whoever like brought the truth out, good on that guy, because that's really bizarre circumstance that like they were even able to do that. And two, what the hell? See, this is okay. So this is
I'm sending it to you guys right now on our thing.
Oh my God. You know, this is exactly what I was talking about. We were having a conversation before recording tonight. You know, because this ties back to previous things we've talked about. Like, the context of this is like sponsorship, you know, people like, you know, there's people who are like really genuine, who like, you know, want to like be team drivers or whatever and help out or whatever. And it's I'm always quick to dismiss people like that, and sometimes wrongfully, because some people like are genuine. But then there's like kind of some people who like start dropping you weird subtle hints all the time, and then like give you these really long build-ups only to end up like just asking for something for free kind of thing. And like, this is something that like Jay and I have talked a lot about, because and what I have always said, and this is a really great example of it, is like with this industry is I love it, but it's weird, and you can't you can't even spend any time trying to rationalize people's behavior, because it's not a blanket. Not everyone's going to do like what's in this video, but the fact that just, you know, that this is something that just somebody here would do kind of thing. You know, you get weird people everywhere, but this is why I was like,
of course it's a drag racing guy. Like, it's absolutely, of course, a drag guy that would do that.
Right. It's like, you know, that's one of those things where it's like, well, okay, how do you even begin to put this on paper and try and math it out? Because you can't. You know, clearly this is, you know, it's an ego problem. It's always an ego problem.
Oh yeah.
But
you know what's weird is those guys that will buy a brand but just be on Facebook just gnarly shit talking the brand.
Which is like, weird, because RC has like too many options in most cases. You know, like that problem solves itself.
Because I've seen Element guys like in the Element group talking about what garbage they are and everything, but they're just like super proud posting all their rigs and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But like
they talk
it's
about
like
that and they
get
own
it.
like 5.
Yeah, and they'll sit there and like argue with like Brad or Aaron or somebody and be assholes and stuff, and you're just like, what? Like, is it attention? Like, what is it? Like, what is it that you're doing here?
I feel like in a weird, twisted way, it's like therapy for them. Like the people going and doing so. It's like the parallel I draw to something like this is I am like I'm really like mild mannered on Facebook, and Instagram and everything, and like I'm really careful about the things I say on social media. My exception to this is anything that has to do with football or Formula One. Those comment sections are always wild, and I generally partake in them. And because you just find the funniest stuff in sports things and just the absolute worst takes. And it for some people, like they can't help it, and it's like cathartic for them to go in and just like blast something. And they, I'm fully aware, this applies to me too, but like they didn't, they're not changing anything. They're not convincing anybody of anything kind of thing. All they're doing is just writing this paragraph about whatever it is they're pissed about and then doing absolutely nothing to act on it. Like it was more that they like just needed to get it out. It's really weird because otherwise, if you look at it, if you look at like, if you're this unhappy with it, why are you buying them? Like that's like my that's my summary of it. It's like just don't do it. Just don't.
Yeah, they'll sit there and hate on the brand, and then try really hard to get a cover photo, or like the guys in the drag racing scene that'll just talk total trash about, like, let's say they're Tekin Electronics, but that's just they're going to continue running it. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
Yeah, the problem solves.
Like it's cool to hate on something for whatever reason, and like they get off on engaging with the employees of certain businesses, like, oh, I told them, or what, you know what I mean? Like it's just all right.
No, I think like I said, I really think it is like it is cathartic for people. They're not looking to solve the problem; they're just looking to talk about it.
Because and get some attention and feel bigger than they are.
Because solving the problem's easy, it really is when you break it down. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just it's a funny industry that way, and that's it's hard because this is something that like I've always struggled with. Right, is that I don't engage in the same kind of fun a lot of people do because I have a vested business interest in this industry. And so that does not afford me that level of fun. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference. Like, I enjoy doing the podcast. I enjoy this and that. I enjoy RC as a whole, but like, I don't do it because of that kind of thing. And so the trap you fall into when you're in a position like this is that you most of the time just perceive the negative and you see a lot of it, a lot more. And that's a really hard thing to like filter because again, like I look at a lot of this and like, I've just kind of been beaten down by it to the point where I'm just like, I don't even care. But yeah, because again, like you can't rationalize it. And you're just like, well, someone decided to be stupid today. There's nothing I can do about that. I'm just going to move on because in 5 minutes, I've totally forgotten that conversation or interaction even happened. And I never come back to think about it. So like, it really doesn't, I don't lose anything. Yes. But like I said, like, it's just, these are, easy to solve problems. So yeah, I've always kind of found that odd too. Like, yeah, just buy a different product. It's easy. Just do it. You're clearly not going to agree with me. That's fine.
Yeah, it's just, I'll never understand it.
Speaking of, this one is not going to apply, I think, but like in terms of products that I think are kind of polarizing, kind of as a news segue, there's a 6-scale SCX now.
Yes,
And
the
I
STX.
would love. I this is one of those things where I feel I came into the conversation before the show late, but I do kind of feel like it is a bit of the Yeti XL thing. Like, it does seem like it'd be kind of cool to see. It'd be cool to see one drive. I can't think of a situation where I'd ever want to buy one, though.
Do you know how boring that thing would have been at like Die Hard, for example?
I guess this is large scale RC is bigger than people give it credit for, but that's my one. Honestly, like that's my whole thing. Like, I don't know where I would take something like that. Like, clearly, like I'm not the product's not for me. Like that's obvious, and they're not marketing it for me. But I couldn't imagine it. It's like having
It's
anything
already
like that.
well, yeah, it's already hard enough to find like decent spots to drive 10th scale rigs.
Yeah, it's like fifth scale racing too. Like fifth scale racing is a
Yeah.
good example of this. But fifth scale took off in the last couple of years. And even if there was local fifth scale racing, I would never want to partake in that. Like that is way too much going on.
Too big, too expensive, and too slow for how big they are.
Yeah, and that's one thing with like RC is that the speed does not. I mean, for crawling it's probably much different, but for like if you're trying to go like peak racing, like speed does not translate to the larger scales anywhere close to a linear. Like it's substantially slower.
Oh yeah, like an 8th scale buggy would walk all over a 5th scale buggy all day.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, I've never seen them in person, but that's what it looks like from videos, anyways.
Yeah, it just I don't know. A 6 scale crawler just doesn't really appeal to me, just because of don't know where I would drive it.
So if anybody's curious on some specs on this, like on this thing, right? Yes, it's the SCX6, the Jeep was it? Yeah, it's a Jeep JLU, and so it's a 6th scale we talked about. It's 33.5 inches long, just under 15 inches wide, it's 14 and a half inches tall, 25 pounds.
What's the wheelbase?
19.74 inches, 501 millimeters.
Man,
I quite
And the other
literally
thing,
could
like-
not store this in my apartment. I have this would not fit
it
on
would
a
have
shelf.
to
It would not
serve double duty as a coffee table or something, or an ottoman.
Yeah.
Like, it just I don't know. We were one of the things we were talking about, before the show and stuff was like how long it's going to take in our current economic environment for the aftermarket to try and jump on board with something like this. Like, I think it's a no-brainer that Proline at some point is going to make bodies for it, and they'll probably be discontinued after 6 months or something like they do everything else. And there's just no customize. It's like you better really like the Jeep JLU because you just spent $1,100 on one and you can't even buy a different body for it. You can't buy different tires or wheels or any of this stuff.
Well,
I mean, granted, you can 3D print things like that, but I mean, it's like when the aftermarket does it, if and when they do catch up and start making stuff for it, like seriously, think about how much a set of beadlocks for this thing would cost. It's like you're probably looking at $350 or something for a set of aluminum beadlocks from Vanquish.
Yeah, there's something here like the large scale. I'm taking the approach with this that I am out of touch enough with large scale RC that I really don't have anything to offer here as far as like analysis, because for the time period, I'm really curious to see how many of these move and like how popular this ends up being, because for the time period and the current like economy and supply chain, that correlates to release something like this. And then to release something as like specific as like, this, something must have jumped at them in market research that really convinced them they should have done this. This is not one of those things that you just do, like one of those like Monday morning meetings where you're like, Hey, wouldn't a 6-scale Jeep be sick? Oh yeah, okay, let's make one. Like, there's gotta be something here that
Maybe
made
all the
them
low
just
Z
that
large
just
scale
convinced
stuff
them.
is moving really good. Maybe,
I mean, I think
like maybe all
5Bs
the
do
like,
well.
well,
You
and like
know,
the trophy trucks are cool.
yeah,
Their 5th scale Brenthel trophy trucks are rad and stuff. But I
yeah.
mean, you still don't see them anywhere, or like I never see people really posting them or anything. Like, I don't know, maybe they're selling really well and it's this big growing market, and that's why they're going to do a 6-scale crawler. But like, just the timing of it's weird. There's not going to be aftermarket support really. I mean, it's just, I don't
Maybe
know.
there
It'll
is.
be interesting. Well,
There
hopefully. I
could be.
mean,
You know, that's the hard thing is for this. I wouldn't know. You know, it's nuts.
I
Really.
almost like, for whatever reason, I get this weird feeling like this is going to be one of those things where something's going to happen and like we're not going to see these on shelves until like February or something crazy now. Like, this just seems like one of those weird rigs that there'll be some sort of like issue or drama attached to somehow.
I don't know. So hard
Stuck
to
in the
say.
canal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the only real like variable here is I wonder if this is late at all.
Well, the other thing too is, I guess, and I only know this because I know a handful of people with them. Um, as far as 6 scale goes, it's those, the GI Joe / like Willys Jeeps are pretty popular. There's a handful. I mean, there was a whole crawl based around it, or a run down at Proline by the Fire for it. I guess 8 or 9 guys that have 6 scale Willys went out and drove them around. So the drive for large scale is there. My thing, it'll just be very interesting to see how this takes off, only because it's like you got to be seriously invested in the hobby if you're going to go for one of these. But then again, what do I know? Because now everybody uses a firm for everything. So you could probably just make payments of like $40 a month for the next, like,
That's a
2 years and
that's
pay
a good
it off.
point. That's a good
You
point.
know,
This does strike me a little bit as like the Affirm special.
it's like, and I think that's what a lot of people forget is like,
Yeah, that's a good point to make.
unfortunately, there are going to be people that finance this thing because, I mean, you're not going to just go drop $1,100 on a car. I don't even know if you've announced that price yet, but
No, I
it's
didn't.
been floating around that it's $1,099.99. So $1,100. And the other stuff that I'm just interested to see is what powers it. But it was funny because when I was talking about this rig, I was told that it wasn't going to have portals. It was going to be straight axles. And I was like, whew, thank God. And I know everybody laughs when they hear that because it's like, normally everybody's like, portals is better as portals. And you're like, I'm just not a portal fan. I mean, I do got to give it to portals have their spot. Like, I mean, we'll get into it in a little bit. I ran my Capra all weekend at Crawl for a Cure. I have a newfound love for that rig, mainly because I did some tuning, but that rig, portals, it works. Seeing a Jeep Gladiator go down the trail with portals is unrealistic in my eyes.
Yeah.
So it's like, it just doesn't have that wow factor to me. Now, if you're building something for total points and performance and you don't care, well, yeah, then portals all the way. But it was interesting to see no portals. Like I said, I'm interested to see battery. I'm assuming this is a 4S application. I could be wrong. I'm curious to see what the electronics are. And yeah, I mean, I know Jay brings up a good point, the aftermarket support, who's going to be making what for it, because like Vanquish dabbled into making axle replacements and like upgraded parts for the Yeti XL and then just never really pulled the trigger on putting those parts in production.
You're right.
Because they were just kind of like hesitant because they weren't sure how the rig was going to perform. Because I know for a fact when Elio had his, he was testing out, like beta testing a lot of, he had, I think, some axle shafts, axle housing, and something else. I think a sway bar maybe from Vanquish that was all for the Yeti XL. And I don't think any of that ever went to market.
Wow.
God, that's a lot of work.
So yeah, so it'll be interesting. Very interesting to see what happens.
Can you imagine how much tires are going to be for that? Like, I was just thinking, like, servo's going to be damn expensive. Tires are going to be really expensive if you can get aftermarket tires, which I'm sure that there'll be a Proline tire available for it. But I mean, still, it's probably going to be a lot. Like, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they were $50 a pair.
Yeah, but I mean, you're paying
It's
about
a
almost
lot of
$50.
rubber there.
You're paying almost about $50 a pair for a set of crawlers, like
Well,
crawler
for 4
110.
though.
No, not necessarily. I just bought those the axial crawlers, and I want to say they were a little over 20. They're like $27 a pair.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like with
So
this,
if you
like I'm
break it,
thinking like 50 a pair for these.
yeah. So if you double it, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
$100
still,
for tires for it. I mean,
but you got to be
the dollar
like,
figure
you're
is
being realistic about
proportionate.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're being realistic about it. Now the shocks got to look pretty monstrous on those things, because I remember, I forget who made aftermarket shocks for the Yeti XL, but those things look like you can throw them on a pit bike. It was hilarious.
You know, it's weird. Proline's always had really nice looking shocks because they did some large scale shocks, I think, for the X Max or something. And like
Yep.
you said, like they look like small, like automotive units. They're huge.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting. I mean, you know, and then I've seen a handful of people that said, "Oh, it's about time somebody releases a 6-scale, you know, crawler." And you know, what if this starts something new? What if we're all just making fun of it, or we're all just not taking it seriously? And let's say now this is the new craze, and everybody ditches 10th and goes 6th.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's just,
You never know. I mean, I highly doubt it. You never know.
they definitely like making big vehicles for whatever reason. Be interesting to see what happens with that. Yeah, I don't know. That was like when I saw they were talking about a release today, I was like, huh. And then I looked into it a little bit more. I was like, that was really unexpected.
Yeah. So, and just I'm sure by the time this goes live, everybody will already have seen the release. But the 6 scale, you can supposedly set the 10th scale on the back of it, and then you can set the 24th on the back of the 10th scale. So you can have your little pyramid, or those Russian dolls where they all fit inside each other.
Yeah.
Jeep nesting dolls.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, interesting release. I'm like I said, I'm excited to see it. Would I get one? Probably not. Just a lot has to do with size and the cost, but
Your credit score.
I don't know. The credit score.
Yeah, you're actually like,
You know,
trading rigs in to buy this one.
I was actually just about, now that you say that, it's kind of funny. You ever want to go into business and make a killing? Become a credit lender for RC enthusiasts.
Dude. Yeah. The amount of
I mean, I mean, I know there's some people that are just, they got a sickness, and they just got to have new, get the latest and greatest.
yeah.
So, but I guess the other thing to go into was Crawl for a Cure was this past weekend. And I drove up there to do that. Hung out with Dan Sutherland pretty much all day. So it was pretty cool. It was definitely cold for this time of the year. Typically, I mean, I know we up in the mountains like that high, yeah, you will get cold, but not to the level of how cold it was. We pulled in at 8 in the morning, and it was already 30. It was still 32 degrees out. and everything. The logs that do the perimeter of the road were all frosted over. I mean, it was cold. So, warmed up finally. A lot of people started losing their sweatshirts later in the, day. And then as soon as the sun started going down, it was like instantly cold again. But, fun event. It's super sad that it's the last one. So it definitely went out with a bang. Tony Mazza, with the help of a few other people. I don't want to list them all off because I'll probably miss a few, but it's all over Facebook and Instagram. He did a rig to raffle away at the crawl. And actually what happened was, spur of the moment, he decided to just say, hey, how about we all just donate to a pot, and we're going to donate this rig to Mark Betancourt for as a thank you for the 9 years of putting on this event. And there were some definite emotions and waterworks right away. And I believe the grand total that everybody raised by just, going around and putting in about whatever you could afford to put in was 10 grand. So 10 grand to the American Cancer Society.
Wow.
So that was awesome. Yeah, good times. Like I said, sad that this event is ending. But I was glad to say I'm probably one of the few that has been to every single one of those events since when it started. Yes. First event ever was 2013, only 86 drivers. Fast forward to 2021, and they had 341 pre-registered drivers, and that's not including however many showed up the day of the event. And it was just crazy to see the numbers and how much that event has grown. And yeah, I do. I have an event shirt from every single one of their events. I have all the wrenches somewhere, which was pretty funny because that was one of the things he asked in the drivers meeting. He said, who here has the unicorn, the event number 1, 2013 wrench? And I did raise my hand for a second. The only thing is I didn't think I had it with me. And then I was checking my trail backpack, and it was in my bag of trail wrenches. So I actually had it with me, but there was only like 3 people that raised their hands at the event that said they had number 13.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean, it's awesome. I want to do a little thank you. So I do have something in the works, like a quick little video, a montage, so to say, of like a thank you for everything. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to think that, and I don't even think that I've really been in, RC that long, but I guess, when you look at it this way, you kind of have been to be at an event the whole lifespan of the event.
It's pretty rad.
So,
I'm disappointed I was never able to make it to that one because I've always really wanted to go.
Well, the cool thing about it is, I've also watched it, move and grow into a new location. So 2016, I think, or 2017. Actually, here, hold on. I'm going to look real quick. I forget if they have it posted. I have a picture of all the shirts. If they have it printed on the shirts, I forget. No, they don't say. I believe I'm going to say it. I think 2017 was the first year it went to. Yeah, I think it was the first year it went to Bear River Lake Resort or Bear River Campgrounds, and then it was at Rollins Lake ever since, or prior to that. So, but yeah, good times, great cause. Sad to see it go. And thank you to everybody that showed up for the farewell crawl.
Nice. End of an era.
End of an era. unfortunately, I just hope that this doesn't like become a trend with a lot of our big events that happen in California, because we're starting to see a trend of like a lot of big events either getting very difficult to go on or ending. And it's like, you know, we're going to be limited to like maybe like 2 events now if, you know, all these events keep canceling or, you know, whatever. So hopefully that doesn't become a trend, but we'll see. And I guess just for a quick second, I'll just talk that because I know I sent it to you guys. I ran the Capra. I did 2 mods to it. I put a little bit bigger tire. I went with the axial crawlers in the R35 compound, and I did the pen spring mod. So kind of helped with the overall what is it, the center of gravity and everything and the way it rides. So I mean, I'm really impressed. And I also know it, you know, I do have 4-wheel steer on it, so that helps a lot. And actually I was getting the hang of when to kick in the 4-wheel steer, because I get that question a lot. Like I got it at least a handful of times this past weekend. How does the 4-wheel steer work? How did you get it to do that? How do you, you know, and I said, well, with my Spectrum remote, there is a 4-wheel steer option in it already. So it goes in and it already does the mixing for you, so it all works the way it's supposed to work. Because I remember when I first tried making that work, I tried to set it up on a switch to control it that way, like a momentary, and the rig started freaking out. All of a sudden, the front servo had like 50% power and the rear had all the power, and I was going like, what is going on? Like I couldn't figure it out. So I finally had to reset everything, and I looked in the directions and there was actually that mode in my remote. So basically you don't get to control it individually, but the cool thing is they have 4 different profiles, I believe, 3 or 4, and the one is I call it like barrel. Basically, the wheels turn to help a tighter radius turn. So what is that? They're turning the same direction, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that so they turn the same direction, so you can make a really tight turn left or right. Then the next profile is crab walk, where they go the opposite, so you can shift sideways like a crab. And then the other one, the last profile, was what I call forklift, where the front stays straight and you turn with the rear. Now, I set up all those profiles on my remote, and I picked which ones I thought I was going to use more than the other. So for me, so I turn that into a 4-position switch, because you just keep selecting which profile you want. And first one is regular, second is that barrel, third is the crab walk, fourth is that forklift, because I figured I don't know if I'll ever actually really use it. And you just got to remember how many times you've shifted that switch on your remote, so you know what profile you're in. But it's really it was kind of fun to play around with, because there were some lines on the rocks I was doing, and I'm like, oh, I just can't make it. But I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I got 4-wheel steering. So I'd go into that profile, and I'd be able to like shift the car or do something that typically, you know, with just a front servo you wouldn't be able to do, and it made pulling lines pretty fun. So I had a blast. So it actually gave me like a newfound love for that rig, because that, out of all my rigs, that rig had the least amount of time on it prior to this event.
Yeah, I could see that. I never really hear you talk about using it that much.
Yeah, so overall, I'm impressed. A little late to the game. You know, if I probably would have done those 2 things to it from the beginning, then, you know, maybe I'd be playing with it more. But yeah, no, I'm definitely stoked with it. And now I'm kind of torn, because I was also with another buddy of mine, Tyler, who works up at WFO, and he's got a Capra, but he put 10-2 axles underneath it, and then he put the 3-gear transmission in it. So he had a different So his crawling ability was a little different, but his track width was a little narrower. So it looked really good. The only problem was there were some lines we were doing where he had a hard time staying in the same, path just because he was that much narrower. So it's kind of like a toss up.
Gotcha.
So I was always on the fence about doing the 3-gear swap. But now I don't know because it actually works. So
I like that little transmission. What you're using, like a really high turn motor in that, aren't you? Like a 55 turn or something?
No, so actually I'm using the Holmes Hobbies Puller Pro 2100 kV.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, which actually I still think is a smidge too tall for that, just because of the gearing in that transmission. 17 is probably the sweet spot for crawling. 21, you still get a little bit of high speed, so I guess that could come into play if you need to do like a bump and you need to, bump up something. But yeah, no, I went brushless. And I also adjusted the throttle curve. Actually, I believe Brandon Catton helped me with my 10.2, the Fool's Gold. He helped me with the profile on that, and then I took that same profile and I modified it for the Capra.
Oh, okay. It's weird how tall that transmission is geared, because my buddy Jared has a 45 turn in his, and he ended up getting it too hot and smoking it just because even, it was too tall even for a 45. So
see, which is weird because like most people, like when you say, oh yeah, I did a 21, they're like, whoa, that's really low. And you're like, well, it would be if it was any other car, but the fact that the transmission is geared so tall, it, actually works because originally I had my eyes on the 27, but the problem is when I was at JJ Customs before he closed his first shop, there was a guy there, and everything he was doing was like super fast, and I'm going, what motor's in that? And he's like, oh, it's a 2700. And I'm like, okay, well then I'm not going 2700.
Yeah,
so
that's a lot.
Yeah. So 27 on like, I guess your normal, 10.2, something with a 3-gear style transmission is probably fine, but not with the Capra. So yeah, so I was kind of torn. The only other thing that I'm still not a big fan of, but it's almost not even I almost don't need it now with the fact that I have 4-wheel steer, is the dig servo or the dig unit in that car. Because the whole purpose of the dig is so you can pivot around things. But the fact that I got 4-wheel steer and I can kind of use that to pivot and turn and all that, I didn't really use the dig all that much. But yeah,
I never used the freewheel part. That just was, I don't know. I just couldn't get having the rear freewheel. I could never get up anything with just the front. The only place I ever used the dig on our Capra was going downhill. I would lock it up and let it drag the tires down stuff, but that was really the only time I ever used it.
Yeah, well, that I did do that once just to kind of like for shits and giggles, but I actually have that drag brake on that set so nice that thing will just roll super slow down almost anything. So like I said, I'm really impressed with it. The only other thing I could see that really helping that rig is if I did one of I think Vanquish has like that 12% overdrive gear you can put in the portal boxes. If I did something like that in the front, it would probably help pull the front down when I'm climbing up stuff, because there's still some areas where it just doesn't want to, it just wants to lift up and just fall backwards. So, and that also could be just the way I have it set up. When I did do the pen spring mod, I did go with a little bit heavier oil in the back, but it's not much heavier. It was only 40 weight because that's all I had that was the heaviest. And I put 30 in the front, so it's not much heavier in the back. So realistically, I probably could put something like 50 or 60 weight in the back, and it'll probably stiffen it up enough to where it wouldn't want to always, tilt backwards, give it a little more forward pressure.
Right.
But I definitely think maybe going to the 12% overdrive in the front would really help.
Overdrive is nice in general on everything.
Well, it's funny because it's like that's how we used to build the rigs. Like back when you like that the OG SCX10, when you had to modify the car to make it a performer, everybody was doing overdrive. Always
Yep.
did overdrive. And then it's like the 10.2 came out and everybody kind of like just gave up on overdrive.
Yeah, they just forgot about it because I had over under in my OG SCX, and man, I loved it. Like it worked so good. And what's funny is there's so many people that I've seen on like the Element page specifically, just because they come with overdrive, is the fact that they're like, oh, you know, you don't want overdrive on trails and everything else. It's like, dude, I drove the crap out of mine over under at Axial Fest and all these other places, all kinds of trail runs. I never had any issues on trails with running overdrive. Like, just, I don't know, people just unnecessarily complicate things.
Well, I'll be honest, the only time I ever saw anything gnarly like that was anybody doing something like on asphalt or any really hard packed surface, because then the tires are actually gripping, so you're seeing them spin differently, so it's like it starts to chatter and do stuff. But other than that, you really don't notice it.
Yeah, no, especially not on dirt. I mean, you don't notice any of that on dirt. It's such a loose surface.
So yeah, so I don't know. So it's one of those things I might play around with it still, but like overall, I'm like super impressed with it. And then I never realized how great the approach and departure angles were on that car.
Yeah.
They're like they're pretty much like the tires are pretty much at the nose and the tail of the car. So that thing will just, you know, you can pull right up to a rock, and if your tires are sticky enough and you got the torque, it'll just climb right up and then keep going. So no, it's
go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was say no. It's definitely becoming a really fun rig. What was that?
Cool that you're enjoying it. Do you know what a bowler is? It's a type of race car over in Europe.
No, I don't.
There's a kit, so they're kind of like a half rally, half Ultra 4 type vehicle. Like bowlers are kind of strange looking. Like a lot of them are based on like Land Rovers and stuff. And there's a guy on Thingiverse that makes a bowler style body kit for the Capra, and it actually looks pretty good, you know, all things considered. So I just thought it was kind of, I kind of want to see like a really nice, well built one now.
I'll have to look that up.
I am going to try and find it and send the picture to the chat because it's pretty neat looking.
Okay. The other thing too is, and I will say it, is I get a lot of compliments on the wrap on the Capra.
Oh, you got the sparkly one, huh?
Yep. Everybody talks about that, especially anybody who's into fishing. They get like hot and bothered over it. They're like, "Whoa, it's
bass boat withdrawals."
Yep. So like when Bob Tarvin first saw it, and he was like, "That sparkle," and I was like, Bob, you jealous? And he goes, is that paint? And I go, no, it's a wrap. And he goes, I can't believe that sparkle, dude. And I was like, he's like, that's a great looking wrap.
Well, if it wasn't freaking thickness of sheet metal, it would be a lot more fun to work with.
Well, that's the only other thing I was going to say is on my hood, I'm going to have to clean up some areas and maybe like glue it back down or something. There's like corners that are starting to lift and I just can't get it to stay back down.
It's a lot of thick vinyl to try and go around corners. That stuff, like I couldn't get it to stay down on my Gatekeeper hood. It just didn't have the bite.
So, but other than that, dude, I mean, that thing's amazing.
I want to go drive RC cars now. That's not fair. You get to go do it.
Hey, it's been a while. So, I mean, it was Axial Fest was the last time I was out. So, I mean, what was that? Wow. So, what was that? 3 months, 4 months?
Crazy.
Something like that. So, and I'm still working on my, I don't even know what to call it. Cheater 2.0, my comp rig, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you're familiar with the rig that I had. We nicknamed him the Cheater. It was like our attempt of doing a, comp crawler out of a scaler. So, make it as super, comp as possible, but still kind of make it look like a scaler. So it was like a belly dragger, super low. And basically I took that apart and I'm reusing a lot of those parts to rebuild a newer truck that I could use in like a Sorca Class 2 atmosphere. So it's kind of a first for me because I'm trying to actually follow some sort of rules. And it'll be my first, I guess, other than the Capra, my first, I guess you could say, competition driven or performance driven rig that has portals. So yeah, so I'm working on that. I'm using a nostalgic axial. So not to get confused with the B17 Betty body, it's the Betty body. Basically, it's the same body that came in my very first SCX10 kit, that Chevy rounded looking one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going with that body. The only difficult part was I had to adjust my my wheelbase because that body, if I'm not mistaken, was the 11.4 wheelbase.
Oh wow, really? So it was like a dingo length one?
It might have been a little bit bigger, but not much. Actually, hold on.
Crazy.
I'm gonna look that up right now. Like I said, so it was definitely a smaller wheelbase rig. I just I just couldn't bring myself to making it that small, so I adjusted the wheelbase a little bit. Yeah, no, wheelbase 11.4. It was a small wheelbase. So what I did was I shortened the wheelbase to 12. So I just had to like refinagle the rear. I did shift the body back a smidge, and then I redid the rear fender opening. I kind of modified it to make it look more like, so it worked with that. But yeah, no, that so that's gonna be my next I guess you can say build. I want to get that thing going pretty soon. And then I'm also using, only because I can't bring myself, which I still do have, I have the original Proline flat irons that came with that build. They're sitting in they're sitting in a box, but I'm using the flat iron XLs in its place. So I'm trying to go kind of like making it look like that OG one that came on the box, but with a way more modern twist.
Gotcha. Are you going to go like interior and all that stuff too, or no?
I don't think I'm going that far.
Oh. All right, sure.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I could, because I think that's an extra however many points. So I don't know. We'll see.
Trying to find you a picture of a bowler. I found pictures of that Capra. All right. So here we go. It's actually, I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to build one just because it's different, but let's see here. I'm just going to send them on a text. It's on our text chat. I guess we should probably think about getting to questions here too.
Yes, I was just about to say the same thing.
Because
I've already been reading for about an hour.
Yeah, we should do questions. Okay, I just sent them to our group chat on our phones.
Alrighty.
It's kind of cool in a way.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Isn't that kind of what it reminds you of, as a bowler, sort of?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's not like exact, but
Reminds me of
it's
dirt.
It's almost like you're trying to throw, turn it into like a quad.
It's like super Euro looking.
Yeah. What's interesting is that one, they actually put OG, like I think I could be wrong, but that
Look like
almost looks
boom
like,
fat axles or something.
yeah, but it almost looks like the original, like they're modeled off the original axial, like like the AR-60 style, like the yeah, Vanquish had a set of axles that were like that. They were SCX 10, but they had like the 60 center pumpkin.
Weird.
So,
Huh. Crazy.
You guys ready for questions, then?
Ready.
yes.
All right. First one is from Kenny Good. He says, Adam, I'm looking to replicate my 1-to-1 overlanding Astro van, and I'm wondering if you might know of the best van body out there, the Proline or the Charisma.
So now it depends on what you're trying to go for, because those are two great options if you're going Lexan. But it's funny you bring that up because I was talking about this with Todd. I think he read this question and he was bringing it up to me. There is a 3D printable file for an Astro body. So if you know somebody who does 3D printing, you could probably get one printed out. But I haven't seen the Charisma in person, but I've seen the Proline in person. The Proline is a really nice body. So if you're going to go with, if you're going to go with Lexan, I'll probably go with the Proline. But if you really want the Astro, like I said, and you're not worried about weight and everything, you could probably have somebody 3D print you one.
Well, with that Charisma body, I do know Night Customs is making some stuff for that too. So
We'll see. Then there you go. That could also drive your choice.
yeah, especially if he starts doing like roof racks and stuff for it, that he could have a lot of cool stuff to add to his Astro build. That would definitely be original.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Schulman says, how do you say no to new projects? I have 12 or so rigs and 3/4 of them are projects in progress. But as this hobby goes, I want that new release or get an inspiration from seeing a truck drive by. My wallet will thank you for any insight.
Don't fight it.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up because I suffer from that a lot, especially as of lately. You want to build something and you want to have like and you're constantly working on something and you're like halfway through or whatever percentage of the build you're at. And then you see something else that gives you more inspiration. You're like, oh, I could do that too. And then you start working on that. And then it just becomes like a sickness where you just keep trying to keep doing something. And then eventually you kind of hit this block in the road where you go, I have way too many projects. They need to get done. And then it's just a matter of being disciplined and sitting there and getting them done. Yeah, I know that all too well. It's hard, but sometimes you just got to put your foot down and say, yeah, I got to get this done. Or be realistic. If you lost interest and you don't have, the means to finish it, put it up for sale or see if you can recycle it and turn it into something else that you're going to do. I've done that with a couple. That's like why I'm doing that with the, comp style rig. I'm repurposing something that I didn't drive as much anymore. And now it'll be something I could drive more. So.
Sound advice.
First step is acceptance. That's all I've got to say. Chris Trudeau says, so what's new? Are you guys keeping busy? How many times have you held off buying something, kit, ESC, motor, etc., and you finally do it only to have a newer version or upgrade announced soon thereafter? Case in point, I finally pulled the trigger on a 7PXR radio, and then the new T10 Futaba is announced. Yeah. This doesn't actually affect me that often. Like,
What?
Something new coming out and then right after I bought something.
Yeah, that hasn't really happened for us, luckily.
Yeah, for me, that hasn't really happened. The only closest thing I guess you could say that kind of happened with was when I bought my Spectrum DX5 because I bought that. I forget after which Axial Fest. I finally threw the towel in on the DX3 that I had before that, and I kept breaking the steering wheel spring, and I broke it. I don't know how many times. I was finally over it, and I said, I'm done fixing this thing. So I was like, I'm gonna get the new one, the DX5. And then I think right after I bought that, the Rugged came out, and the only thing I like about the Rugged over the standard DX5 is the fact that it's kind of got like that bar that comes down that you can like attach, GoPros and stuff to. And it has that little spot on the radio where you can put like your trail wrench, your little wheel wrench and all that stuff in it. But other than that, like that pad on the back is not the greatest to, use. And I like that mine has a actual wheel that scrolls. That was probably the closest thing, like I said, to anything that I was like, oh, I bought it, and then the latest came out. Otherwise, there really isn't. The only thing I'm waiting on, which I'm hoping that they go back, on the website soon, is the what is it? Is it the Crawlmaster Mini? Holmes Hobbies has a really tiny speed control that I want to put paired with my Holmes Hobbies revolver that's going on that comp rig. So I'm waiting on that. But that's about it.
That's about it.
Let's see. Nick LaRusso says, what are your thoughts of the Fly Sky Paladin 18 channel radio? Keep up the good work. And Trav the Gatekeeper looks sick. Thanks. I didn't do any of it.
But I'll take all the credit.
Why not?
None of it came from me.
That's pretty funny.
Oh, good God. Looking at this radio, I'm assuming you guys didn't look at it yet.
What's that, the Fly Sky?
The 18 channel?
I haven't seen that yet.
Well, at
Last time I paid attention to Fly Sky was when their Noble or whatever came out.
Yeah, I'm looking at this thing, and this is about as complex as our drone controllers.
Oh, it's like a 2-stick.
Yeah, this
It's
is
like old. Yeah, no.
This is fancy.
Adam says no.
If I was operating like a scale cement mixer, this would be pretty dialed. But I don't think I have the bandwidth for something like that, so I'm gonna pass.
Or space shuttle or
Yeah,
fucking RC aircraft carrier.
Yeah, I guess the possibilities are endless since Fly Skies can basically be written like a Linux, so can do just about anything with them. Keep that in my back pocket in case I ever decide to do some under the radar engineering.
Some 14th scale semi truck building and driving.
Yeah, if I ever get motivated and have the time suddenly to just do something absolutely ridiculous, that is the radio I will use. Which would be a lot of fun. All right. Eric Warren, what's the big release from one of the big three being announced tomorrow? We covered that. Let's see. Opinions on the SCX6. I think we covered that.
It's just not big enough.
Okay, so here's...
Well, you heard it here, folks. Just not big enough.
It's not, yeah. Here's my question. What is the advantage of making this a 6th scale over a 5th scale?
Yeah, good point.
Like this is the thing I always ask. I was like, what made them go like, no, this is a perfect size? What about 5th scale? Oh no, that's just too much.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't know. Is it the army trucks that they, So that
I'm
there's
not
something
sure.
cool to be on the trail next to those? Is that what drove the size determination?
Hard to say. I've used this as an example before, but you remember the Traxxas X01?
Yeah.
You know, the 100-mile-an-hour car, which, like, good on them for the promo to get it to hit 100 miles an hour at Texas Motor Speedway. But,
Yeah.
like, it was a 7th scale. What do you do with a 7th scale? I mean, that obviously wasn't the point of the vehicle. The point of the vehicle was it could do 100 miles an hour. And I'm sure there were some dented
Maybe it
dented
was a wheel and
body
tire size, because
parts.
those were 8th scale buggy, hexes and tires.
Yeah, so I
Wheels.
mean, it's like, is
Maybe
it just...
that's what drove the size of the X01.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. You know, it's just bizarre. So
I wonder what size the tires are on this thing, if it's a 2.2 or what they are.
yeah, I don't know.
I guess we find out tomorrow, but still, it's interesting.
I suppose. I mean, I guess looking at it, it could be a 2.2. I mean, based off
What
of
size
the one
brushless motor comes with it?
Yeah, I know.
There's just so many questions now.
Guess we'll find. I mean, we're somehow talking about this ahead of official announcement. Yet, when this podcast goes public, these details will probably be revealed. So
It's our version of a Marvel time heist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick LaRusso asks, is Chris Trudeau ever going to be a special guest host? He already was.
I think
guess
you
he
guys
was a
were talking
guest.
about doing that one with Chris and Nick together.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't a host that one. You were just gone.
Slap that "I'm working on it" sticker on. And
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
maybe next week.
Facebook Creator Studio has this really cool feature. It's like one of the only ones at work where you can categorize like inbox things. So I'm gonna make a working on it section,
Funny.
and then I can check in on it in November.
I like that.
Let me look here, make sure I'm not missing any. Sack the Ripper, when can I come on the podcast?
Today was it. You missed it, dude.
Damn.
Sorry. Now we should do that. We should have Spencer on sometime.
There we go. Chris Trudeau asked on Instagram, so is Axial teasing something big? Thoughts on if it's a newer SMT10 or similar? It might be a 6th scale JK. Or JLU, I mean. Just maybe. Don't really... Oh, yeah, so I don't know who this one is, so I've got to say the handle. Ghetto Cowboy RC14. Don't really have a local crawler scene. How should I go about starting one?
With a name like that, you're going to make friends no matter what.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
Ghetto
gotta ask
Cowboy.
if he's listening. So I clicked on it, and it actually has his name at the top of it, Brandon Geiger.
Oh, okay.
Are you a Yellow Wolf fan? Because he's the only other one I know who ever used that term, Ghetto Cowboy.
What is that?
Yellow Wolf, the rapper.
That's a rapper? That was
Yeah.
the last thing I thought that was.
He's
Yeah,
like
Yellow
Machine
Wolf.
Gun Kelly, only doesn't pick fights with everyone.
I guess you could say that. He was the closest thing to like Eminem on Eminem's roster. He has a very similar style, kind of like raps in the same kind of style that Eminem used to rap in. But he was from Alabama, so he kind of had that like southernness to the way he rapped.
Huh.
So yeah, he's got some good ones out there.
He came out
I
about
saw-
the same time as G-Eazy, right?
close.
Like kind of onto the scene at the same time.
The hell are
Close.
these people?
It's actually funny though. You said not picking fights. He actually, if you listen to I think it's called Bloody Sunday freestyle. He picks a fight with G-Eazy.
Oh man.
He called him what did he call him? Tom Cruise looking motherfucker or something like that.
Oh wow.
So yeah,
Jeez.
That's actually, if anyone's curious, that's actually a great song to get started on from Yellow Wolf. It's actually pretty good.
Also, in defense of, I cannot believe I'm saying this, but in defense of Machine Gun Kelly, this latest fight was not
With
his
Slipknot?
fault. Yeah, that was not his fault. He didn't do anything at all, and all of a sudden Corey Taylor got on some bullshit, which is pretty standard. So, he's not responsible for this one. I'll give him that.
Whatever.
To be honest, I think it has to drive from the fans because if I'm not mistaken, when I saw Stone Sour in concert with Korn 3 years ago, 2 years ago, however many years ago that was, which is when I also saw, ironically, Yellow Wolf was in that lineup. There was something just happened between Chad Kroeger and Corey Taylor, and the fans brought it up. The fans brought it up at the thing. Somebody yelled something like "fuck Nickelback," and the whole crowd started like chanting it, and then he started like laughing, So I'm not gonna say that it's always 100% Corey Taylor's fault. I think some of it is fan driven, and like a fan will bring it up or someone will say something, and then he's kind of got to go in with his, answers and the way he handles everything. So, but yeah, no, that was actually quite interesting when the whole chant of "fuck Nickelback," went across the shoreline.
Poor Chad Kroeger. He's just trying to enjoy a Molson Ice at his house somewhere in Canada. He's got Corey Taylor talking shit about him.
I loved ahead of this that all he had to do was hear Chad Kroeger and he started busting up laughing. That was enough. Moving on.
There is no bigger joke in the music industry than Chad Kroeger.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. That's a stretch. He had ramen hair for a while, but that was about it.
God.
Back to answering Ghetto Cowboy RC. Don't really have a local crawler scene. How should I go about starting one? Basically, you're just gonna have to network and see if there's anybody in your area that it has a crawler, and then you're gonna have to just start having little events, and you're just gonna have to start trying to build up the numbers of people showing up to those events, and then eventually you'll start getting a little scene going on.
Facebook's probably the easiest way to link up with people that are near them.
Exactly.
Ziggy Board Enemy, he says, if you were to build a full dollhouse scale garage, what we add for that over the top realistic scale look or that hasn't been done yet? Say like an old school garage pit.
Drinking fountain.
Next
level. I know. I'm a trendsetter.
He set the follow-up question.
You need to have the dirty urinal next to it too.
Ew.
There's a
follow-up
question from Black Turtle Garage is, I want to know where I can get the file for the water fountain.
Oh, that was Thingiverse. It is a magnificent water fountain too.
That is good.
And that had the most half-assed prep job ever. It had 2 coats of spray primer, and then I just took some Scotch-Brite to it and shot it silver and then double stick taped it to the wall.
It works.
You do stuff like that, and you will never have any shortage of people to go crawl with, Mr. Ghetto Cowboy. So start by a scale garage with really absurd scale details. Thingiverse. Let's see. I guess I'd be an ass if I didn't post the link for dude. Fountain. Did I post that we had questions on Instagram? Maybe I did.
Yeah, I'm reading
We
it.
just went off those ones.
I couldn't remember how I had done it or what. And that's right. I shared it to Facebook this time. Man, I'm having trouble finding it now. Still. Oh, they called it a water cooler.
A water cooler?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird.
What are they from, like the UK or something?
Might have been. I'm not familiar with water cooler. There it is. Okay. It's thing number 3604329.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Where was that dude's question on Instagram?
Yes, it was.
Great.
It's Eric Saraceno, however you say his last name. I can send it to him.
Okay, I'm going to then go to Messenger and put the link in Messenger so that it's somewhere.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Handled. Now he can print his super badass water cooler.
Well, there you go.
You know what I was just realizing, and this will be my final note. I was just talking about building a 1/24th scale garage for my 1/24th. Can you imagine someone trying to build a 6 scale garage for their 6 scales scaler?
It's actually a single car garage.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty ridiculous when you think about it.
Malibu Barbie's dream condo. Dream garage.
I wonder if a 12-inch action figure is about the same size as, like, if it's scale proportionate to this new axial rig. You know, because like all the old Army Jeep guys have those, you know, whatever figures you can get on Amazon that have like camo clothes and stuff. Like, I wonder if that's going to be the same size for this thing. I just have so many questions regarding a rig that I'm never going to buy. That's weird, right?
No.
It's like I care, but I don't. That makes any sense.
But you don't.
Yeah, like, I'm never going to own one. It's more just like a weird curiosity about like what works on this thing and what doesn't. And, you know, never have one, but it does raise a lot of questions.
Everything works.
Everything.
Oh. Did you want to talk about the golden ticket?
Oh, about our decals?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've been wanting to do stuff for our Patreon guys. You know, we've got that Forerunner that we're building, which now that I got my... Really, I mean, it sucks that we put off that build for so long. However, the fact that I've gotten like the 3D printers like tuned to where they're cranking out really good stuff, because we have waited so long, that build's going to end up being really, really cool versus before when it was just going to be pretty nice. So now, you know, it's going to have a lot of cool, like over the top stuff for it. But there's, you know, other things that we've wanted to do for our Patreon subscribers. And so I was thinking about it one day. I was like, oh, we should do some gold stickers of our new logo, because everybody responded really positively to the new logo. So make sure that we have your address. I'm going to post it on Patreon too, because so far I've only done it on Instagram and Facebook. But make sure we have your address. We'll be sending those out. And then what I'm hoping to do for next month, which I was talking to Trav about this, is I got a line on bulk black anodized aluminum water bottles. I was like, how sick would it be if we do like a really nice like wrap style label for this thing that's got our new logo in gold, and then behind it, the background of the wrap that goes around the water bottle is going to be gold topographical pattern on top of black. So it'd probably be a really baller looking water bottle. So I'd like to be able to do that for November for our patrons. So we're going to try and get some more stuff for people. And then there was another, we got to figure out how to do this, but I've got a build that I had started and I'm just don't have the time to finish it and don't really, I don't know, it just doesn't really fit into our plans anymore with some of the stuff we got going. And so I thought, well, you know what, why don't we just give it away? Like let somebody inherit it. So it's that tan hard body Jeep Magpul themed one that I started that has like the gatekeeper interior and the window nuts and stuff, and then some aluminum work in the bed. So we're going to figure out probably what we should do is do, I don't know, what do you guys think? Like do another cover photo contest, but only for our Patreon guys, and whoever wins that will win the body and tires and wheels that go with it. Think that works?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, cool. We'll do that. I'll announce that in the group page then next day or so.
Sweet.
Maybe next week. I'll work on that.
Nice. Well, I think
so that's
everything.
it there. Yeah. Trying to think. I can't really think of anything else new that's really coming out. I mean, we could talk about Rebel RC real quick if you guys want.
Oh yeah, that's right. We forgot about that.
Oh yeah. I closed the tab that have the blurb though.
Blurb.
Hold on. All right. Yeah, so I think we talked about Rebel RC very briefly in the past, fairly recently. But yeah, essentially there's a new manufacturer, in quotes, of, scale truck. So it's this so Rebel RC, they've got what they're calling it is the RJ RebelCon. So it's a 10 scale off-road RTR, scale truck. And you can just look up, Rebel RC or RebelCon if you want to take a look at it. But basically what it is it's a Abysma Sherpa, kind of like redone up for the US market. And which is, the Sherpa is something that's been more of like a European thing because Abysma is more of a European brand. So a lot of people may have not heard of that, understandably. But yeah, I think that this is kind of like the first proper entry for them into this to try and be kind of like, try and grab some of the market share and maybe build out something of their own. Let's see. Couple details. Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a detailed Jeep body, but it's got a clipless body mounting. It's got like tilt up kind of thing. So I like this beadlock wheels with aggressive off-road tires. Well, that's good. LEDs installed, integrated internal fenders, metal frame rails, 2-speed trans, metal links, oil-filled shocks, portals, portal axle with metal drivetrain parts, and then it comes with a Hobby Wing ESC and 550 motor, but does not specify what. The ESC is 3S capable, though. So yeah, that's kind of the summary.
The abysmal sacrifice.
Right. So, yeah, I guess take a look at that. I'll be curious to see if someone gets around to buying one. And then start seeing some, like, hands-on feedback of it. Because I'm
glad I don't have the financial stress of whatever the person doing that is going to have.
Yeah.
It's a tough market to break into.
So so basically, if you were to buy it on a Rebel RC right now, it's 400, 460, 459.99. Pre-order now. Expected release date is October 15th, 2021.
It's not a cheap vehicle.
No. I mean, it's cool, you know, like it's not a, well, yeah, it's got fogged windows. It looks like, or it looks like just the gray. I can't tell if that's just an image thing, but for whatever reason, if you look at the listing for the gray one, the windows look like they're just barely transparent, and then the orange ones are totally clear. So I don't understand that, but yeah, like it's kind of neat. The hard part, I think, about breaking into this market is that, you know, unless you can offer kind of a ridiculous price point, like, you know, you got to offer something that is a little bit different than what everybody else is doing. I don't know enough about the Sherpa platform to kind of figure out what that is. But I guess I had been kind of hearing that some of it, like the plastics are of kind of a different quality. Like this, you know, this is a higher level or higher quality plastic. So it makes me wonder if maybe both Rebel and Abysma are getting them from the same OEM or something, and they're changing plastic spec, or if they've got kind of an agreement going on with them, sort of thing. I mean, I imagine the end goal here is to eventually make their own top to bottom, and this is just to get them started. But yeah. So anywho, I'll have to watch some videos on it and everything and see. Yeah, it comes with a 550 size brushed 21 turn motor.
Man, that's a ripper.
Yeah. 60 amp hobby wing crawler. Built-in VEC. Interesting. Yeah, so anywho, that's the kind of the rundown on that guy. So if anyone happens to buy one, let us know.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear about it.
Yeah. Other than that, that's it. So anybody have any closing thoughts or?
No.
No.
No. No.
No. All right, cool.
No.
Well, sounds good. We can close it out then. Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in for another episode of That Scale RC Show. Appreciate the support even in our down weeks. You know, we want to record every week, but sometimes we're just not able to, and usually the podcast is the first to get the axe, so hope everyone can understand. And yeah, we'll see you guys as soon as we're able.
See ya.